Want to know her past? Don't ask. Just watch. There's one mistake almost every man makes when getting to know a woman. They ask. They ask about her ex, her pain, her childhood. And sure, it sounds honest, like you're trying to build a real connection. But the truth is, the more you ask, the more you hear the version she's willing to tell. Not the truth. Not because she's lying, but because she's protecting herself. Just like you, she's been hurt before. And her natural instinct is to wrap that pain in polished answers. So if you really want to understand her, stop interrogating. Start observing. Notice the way her eyes shift when you mention certain things. Notice the silence when she skips over a part of her story. Because sometimes the truth lives in what she doesn't say. Want to know a woman's emotional past? Watch how she reacts to male attention, not just when you compliment her, but when she walks into a room and feels eyes on her. When she casually, almost reflexively, mentions who DM'd her today, who stared at her at the gym, who couldn't stop looking. The real question isn't, does she like attention? It's how much does she need it, just to feel like she matters. A woman who was neglected, made to feel invisible, or emotionally starved in her past often learns to measure her worth by how many people notice her. And the most complicated part, she might not even realize she's doing it. She's not vain. She's just trying to refill a space that someone else once emptied. But there's a massive difference between a woman who enjoys admiration and a woman who depends on it. One is confident, the other is emotionally starving. And that difference can define whether you're building something real or walking into a relationship held together by validation. You don't need to interrogate her. Just observe how often she brings up attention, how easily she slips it into casual stories. That repetition, that need to be seen over and over again, that's her past, speaking through the only language she was taught to feel seen. After you've seen how she reacts to attention, vui or chased, spash the your text to 3, start paying attention to how she talks about other women. Not when she's trying to impress you, but in those everyday moments. When she mentions a coworker, a friend from the past, or a stranger she just scrolled past on Instagram. It's not the story that matters. It's the tone. Is it warm, respectful, or is it laced with sarcasm, jealousy, or quiet competition? A woman who constantly calls others fake, too much, or probably cheating isn't just commenting, she's projecting. She might have been betrayed, compared, pushed aside, and instead of healing, she built walls made of judgment to stay safe. Remember this, a woman at peace with herself rarely sees other women as a threat. But if every woman is competition in her eyes, it's time to ask, is she living in the present or still stuck in a rivalry that ended years ago? The way she talks about women reveals more about her emotional history than any relationship story she'll ever tell. Because trust me, when someone criticizes constantly, they're usually speaking from a place that still hurts. Want to know someone's real past? Don't watch them when things go right. Watch them when things go wrong. A missed call, a last-minute change of plans. That's when the mask slips and the past steps forward. Does she go quiet and pull away? Or lash out, blame, make you feel guilty? Does she freeze, disappear, or try to fix it? None of those reactions are random. Each one is an emotional echo from what she's lived through. If she was abandoned, ignored, or punished for expressing feelings, then silence became her armor. If she was betrayed, she might strike first, because getting hurt again isn't an option. She's not just fighting with you. She's defending herself from a ghost you didn't create. And here's the hard truth. You're not just in this argument. You're standing in the crossfire of her emotional history. So ask yourself, are you part of her healing or the next casualty in a war that started long before you arrived? She'll tell you about her past relationships, but not the way you expect. No dates, no my ex, just a quiet sentence like, I used to go to that sushi place all the time. Who's we? A friend? Or someone she's not ready to name? She's not hiding, but she's not inviting you in either. And that gap says more than any confession. You'll notice it. She says back then, not 2 years ago. She skips milestones. She says everything fell apart, but never says who or what caused it. These aren't just words. They're emotional leftovers, fragments of a story still unfinished. The wise man doesn't ask, "When was your last breakup?" He just listens. And in the pauses, the casual we, the way she avoids names, he sees the timeline unfold. Because sometimes the clearest signs of a past relationship are written in what's almost said, but never fully shared. There's a simple way to glimpse her emotional history. Just listen to how she talks about men. Not you, but men in general. Have you heard her joke, "All men are the same," or say, "You can't trust guys these days"? At first it sounds playful, but if those comments repeat with a sharp tone and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, it's no longer a joke. It's a scar. Maybe she was lied to, cheated on, made to feel like her heart was a game. Now, instead of trusting one man, she's learned to guard herself against all of them. And even if you're kind, loyal, and different, that core belief doesn't vanish overnight. It shows up when things go slightly wrong. She pulls away. She goes quiet. Because deep down, she's waiting for the moment you turn out just like the rest. And in that moment, you must ask yourself, are you in a relationship with her? Or trying to prove you're not the ghost of every man who hurt her before? If you want to understand how a woman loves, watch how she speaks about her family, especially her father. You don't need trauma tales. You don't need deep questions. Just notice when she says, "Yeah, my dad was around, I guess. We weren't that close." Simple words, but behind them, layers of unspoken weight. If she grew up in warmth and safety, she probably loves with ease. No panic, no walls, no second guessing. But if love had to be earned, proven, she may still be trying to win it, even now. You'll notice it in how she responds to affection. Does she receive it calmly or flinch like she's waiting for it to disappear? These responses aren't about you. They're shaped by the emotional language she learned at home. Family is the emotional operating system. It doesn't shout, but it runs everything in the background. She doesn't need someone to fix her history, just someone who won't repeat it. She might laugh all day, be strong, logical, calm, and then a certain song plays. A movie scene flashes by, and suddenly her eyes drop, silent, unguarded. Not all pain screams. Some wounds just quietly change the way we feel everything. Sometimes what stirs her isn't about love at all. It's being left out of a friend group, being talked over when she finally shared something small, a cold glance that made her feel invisible. And sometimes she feels nothing when she should, not because she's heartless, but because her heart had to go quiet long ago, just to survive. She won't explain this. She might not even know it herself. But you'll notice it when she avoids anything too real or walks away when emotion sneaks up on her. Those are the moments. When she's vulnerable without meaning to. When she's distant without wanting to be. That's not indifference. That's her past, still echoing through her present. You don't need to ask her what she's been through. You just need to observe and listen with your heart, not just your ears. The wise man doesn't dig for truth. He waits for it to surface, through the tiny, unnoticed things she does. The way she pulls back when you lean in. The flicker in her eyes when you compliment her soul, not her looks. Truth isn't in the stories she tells. It's in the reflexes she can't control, the ones shaped by someone who once hurt her. You don't need to be a therapist. You just need to be more aware than the men before you. Because when you ask, she'll give you the edited version. But when you observe, you see the woman beneath the mask, even the parts she's not ready to face. That's not judgment. That's empathy. And sometimes that's the one thing that makes her feel safe enough to finally open up. If you've made it this far, you're not just a man who wants to love, you're a man who wants to understand. Understand so you don't hurt her. Understand so you can connect. Understand so you can see her not just through her words, but through the quiet signals her heart is still whispering, even if she doesn't realize it herself. Because people don't just talk about their past, now they live it. It shows up in their habits, their silence, their eyes when you say something that hits an old wound. And if you're present, if you're patient, you'll start to notice what others miss. The truth. Not the polished version. Not the performance. But the real, raw, deeply human woman in front of you. If this video gave you a moment of clarity, subscribe so we can keep exploring this emotional landscape together. Don't keep this insight to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because when you learn to truly understand a woman, you don't just change the relationship, you change who you are.